Peter told me that in the lighthouses, as he knows, they had these windows, of course, all over, and you have to adjust them to avoid the vibration and the noise in the tower.
Yeah.
Did you do the same thing in the lighthouse here sometimes with heavy weather?
I think it was.
Because
yes.
you can open all the windows,
Yeah.
and they are around on the level. But they don't have to open very wide, and I don't think you really need it for ventilation.
No, not really. No, not for ventilation.
Right.
But it was nice down there. I liked being down there myself. You know, I didn't mind being there at all.
No.
It was nice, quiet, peaceful down there. You know. But old Basil never used to even like anybody going down there visiting. Don't know for the reason why. But I like being down there myself.
Yeah,
and
right,
so
right.
the old woman, she liked being there too. And old Fred, he liked being down there too.
Yeah, yeah, and Georgie, of course, as well. Yeah.
And old Georgie used to love being down there.
Yeah.
Because he used to have little cows down there, milk cows, butter, cream, send up to Stanley here. He used to get good gardens down there too. But no, on Basel, no, he wasn't allowed them sort of things. Down there then. Well, a few different things down there. There's nothing left now to show anybody anything, is it? It's all gone.
No, well, that's not true now. Of course, I mean, we went to terrible
yeah, but all the
efforts to get that glass replaced.
The house there is gone, ain't it?
Yes, okay. You're absolutely
got
right.
your light
Absolutely
there.
right.
The main light, it's still there right now.
Yeah.
But all the other rest that went with it, it's all gone. No
That's
tanks, no nothing.
No, completely bulldozed. It's only the
It's all
fundaments.
just completely gone, ain't it?
Yeah.
But I still can't see how they manhandled all that lighthouse up off the beach.
Yeah.
But they had some sort of jib or something there to do it with.
There is
Because
indeed.
there's that piece out there
Right.
on the beach, ain't there, where they
Right.
used to have it sitting
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But by God, that must have been,
But that was only to get it from out of the dinghy
yeah,
in on the shore.
Yeah.
But then how they erected it, you know? How do you have a steel plate? And I made a calculation on it once, but they weigh more than a ton.
oh yes,
One of these
they
plates.
made a damn good weight right now.
And how they managed to get it on top of the other one, bolt it, and then
that's what I don't
carry on
know.
further is for me a complete mystery how they did it.
Because we didn't have any electrical equipment in them days for
They
lifting
didn't have
things like that,
anything,
did
no.
we?
No?
They must have, I don't know, power buckled it or something, would it be? Something like that.
Some
Somewhere
very clever
lifting it
engineering.
anyway.
Some very clever
Oh
engineering.
yes, there was some very clever engineering, must have been, to get up there, because out on the balcony there is 70 feet, ain't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you've got all that
Right.
piece on the top again.
Then they have
yeah.
to make the rest on top of it,
Yes.
and then they had to place the dome on top of it. And actually, it must have been all done by manhandling, or well, you never know, of course.
And block and tackle somehow.
History, of course. I
But
mean,
they had to get things to reach that high to get it up there first, didn't they?
perhaps they made a crane. You'll never know.
Well, they might have done something like that, perhaps somehow. I don't know. It would have been good to see some photographs of that being done.
There must
I
be some in
expect-
Stanley somewhere.
Well, I expect when the old town hall burnt down, I should imagine it all got lost
Oh yeah.
in the old museum
Oh,
town hall.
Yeah.
Because I said there
Yeah.
used to be things there way back, years and years.
Yeah. That was 1960, huh?
And that just burnt
That
burnt
fire,
to the ground.
the town hall fire, 1960 something.
Oh, I thought it was before 60.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
I know, I can remember something about it, and I was only very small. And
Right.
so, no, it must have been way before that.
No, but you're absolutely right with that, because the whole history went up in smoke then there
Oh, yes,
as
the
well.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, that place was just a living, more or less a living museum
Yeah.
of anything. And it just all gone. And now John's trying to get a museum up this way. There we've got in that place, and I haven't seen in there yet. I've never been in there.
Oh, no,
I was down when he had it in his house down there, down the other place, but not since he's come up here.
Right.
And there's parts of the old lighthouse that used to be at North Ham there, I think.
It was a light, eh? Of
That
course.
was the gas.
Right.
Gas one. It used to be out there, it used to come on. When the sun went down, the gas used to light. When the sun came up, it would switch off. Somehow.
Huh.
And there's only just a very little of that left down there now. You can see where it had been. That's all. I think John's got most of it in here.
Yeah, well, it's. I think that light is in front of the museum.
But the one they've got out there now is a little one that's similar to what's down at the lighthouse there.
Right.
It's only a little thing, and that was on the end of that point where the old light used to be, and they shifted, put it way up on the hill on that side, where it can be seen better now, because where they had it, you couldn't see it very far out to sea, I don't think. A couple of miles, and that was it, I think. Too close to the land, so they shifted it onto the top of the horizon there to see it.
I remember where they'd be there in the slides, because we didn't have a camera for taking
That's right.
photographs.
So we'll have to look through our slides
Mm-hmm.
one day.
But that
was
Right.
something
And
like that.
then we'll get you a coloured one then, as there is some coloured ones of that.
Oh, you have on video your
Yes.
slides. That's clever.
No, eh?
No,
Oh,
no,
it's
No,
not
I'm
funny.
just putting a tape on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, no. No, I'd have to find my slides.
no.
Oh, you're taping them.
I have to go through there for those things. We'll find some for you. No problem.
Yes, please. Yes, please. But can you remember something about that night that the Argentines invaded the islands and you were?
I can
On the
remember
lighthouse.
them coming in all right, yes.
Yeah.
Because I
was your
wanted
first
Basil
fight?
to ring Stanley and let them know. And he wouldn't do it.
Basil didn't want to.
Oh, we were sitting down there when the announcements came over. They said there was an important announcement the government now would be making. And we never got it. That important announcement there we never heard.
But it
But
didn't come
I-
over till 6 o'clock in the morning.
I said to Basil, because I had the glasses, I knew there was something wrong that night, because before dark, the Marines came down. A big gang of Marines came down there, and they were all around there. They had their guns, everything with them. And I thought, there's something funny on, there's an exercise on or something, so I never said no more. But around about 11 o'clock at night, they all started getting their bloody ammunition all stocked up for the guns, cleaning them, and, you know, sorting them out and that there and getting everything ready, radio and everything, checked that out, everything. And then 12 o'clock I said, oh, you fellas can go and have a sleep now, we'll look after everything for you. Well, we knew nothing. But I guessed straight away that there was something wrong. So I gets up, must be about 4 o'clock, past 3 in the bloody morning. Next thing they were getting all panicking, scrambling, gathering all the bloody guns up, loading them up and everything here with live ammunition and that and gone. In a hurry, I said, hey, there's something wrong, ain't there? No, I said, we're on an exercise. That bit buggered. I said, there's something badly wrong. I said, and you're not telling us. And one fellow just looked at me, he said, no, we're not allowed to say. I said, no, because the Argies is coming, ain't they? He just went out. And before daylight came in, I seen a bloody ship, because I had glasses down there, see?
Right.
Old glasses, I suppose they'd be about that big, pre-war ones. And I was looking through them, and I spotted something coming in from out at sea, coming in. And then it sort of went up so far, and I sort of lost it, and next thing it would go back out again. I said to Basil, I said, there's a bloody man of war out there. He said, let's have a look. Nah, I said, you're not bloody telling me there's a man of war there. He said, I can't see. He said, there's nothing there. He said, I can't see it. I said, look, my bloody eyes is better than your, Basil. I said, I bloody tell you, there's one there. I said, you get through and let them know in Stanley, there's a man of war there. No, I said, there's not. The next thing I spot a bloody red light at the beach. I knew then what it was. Straight away, it was a bloody Archie's landing. But I didn't know that they were around the town before that, because they came in from over there at the back. and come up around here to get them here. And they came in from that way around.
Right.
And, what's Willie Bowles? He went out along the road here, he skinned out a stand and he went right out through the arches, never seen one. Drove straight out along the old road, straight out through amongst them. Never seen them. They seen him coming with the lights and they just stayed quiet. But there was a few people went out that night, went out amongst them.
Right. But I mean, I understood you were ordered to switch off the light of the lighthouse by the governor.
Basil wouldn't let it out, wouldn't stop.
Oh.
He kept wanting to switch it on.
Oh.
We were told to put it out, see?
Right, because they didn't like to
The
help
Marines said they
Argentines.
must put the light out too. But no, Basil wanted it put on. Why? I'm bucket if I know why yet. But we wasn't there that many bloody hours here after they'd came in the next night. They went about, what, must be about 10:30, I suppose. Next thing we heard, bang, thump. In they come through the bloody door. About 7 of them. Want to know, is anybody else here? They said, anybody else here? We said, no, it's only us two that's here. They said, you sure? Well, we didn't know then that they were looking for the Marines. Because there was a gang of Marines over on that side that went right out through them. Way up to Long Island. We didn't know it then that that's what they were looking for. For a couple of days later we found out that they were looking for these Marines. And they found them at Long Island. That's where they found them. But definitely I seen them come in there that morning, early hours in the morning, right and left down there. Couldn't help but see that bloody boat cruising up and down there. But they never come in the harbour. They just used to come down past them islands
Right,
and
right.
then go back out again, keeping on the move. But then we heard the thumps here just as daylight was coming in. We were listening. We could hear the thumps landing up here.
Right.
And I thought, oh, bloody hell, what's happening now? Something must be wrong. Government House must be getting it. We thought they were after him, so you get him. Remember, when he comes up standing a couple of days later, everything was still intact. Couldn't bloody understand all these big thumps going off, and Government House was still standing there. We thought it would have been flattened, but it wasn't.
And then you were sent home, more or less, by the Marines? I
You
remember-
weren't sent home, I took you
He
home.
came and got me.
Oh yeah.
Came down and got
They
me.
came out and-
I
And
would like to have gone out of it down there, but I couldn't have no bloody transport to get away.
See, the thing
So
is,
when
they
she
invaded
came
on a
down-
Friday. He came home on the Saturday to see what was happening, and they were told to go back down and stay there. And they went down and they got held up, as he probably told you, at the airport, and then taken down under armed guard. And he was supposed to call me on one of the radios looking in and got there safe. And he didn't. I didn't hear anything because there were no radios there to do it
They
with.
were gone.
I was nursing at the time, so when I came off duty at 3 o'clock on the Saturday, I got in a row and people said I wasn't to go down, I'd get stopped. Well, they had this thing about showing your white cards, you know. Well, we already had white cards. And I just drove right through all the roadblocks, just waved my card. It could have been anything. And I went down to the Lighthouse, picked up him and all his equipment, but Basil wouldn't come up. And I brought
that's
him
what
back
Betty
up.
told me. Bessel didn't
Well, the
care
next
to go back
day,
anymore.
Raid Sylvie and went down and got him up. And the next day after that, the police had to go down and bring him up. He wouldn't stay away.
Kept
That's
going
how he
back
come.
down.
And he was in a nervous wreck, actually. I was pretty nerve driving down there too on my
I
own.
can imagine.
But I was more worried of what would happen to him because nobody knew. I mean, they could have all been
I
shot for him, you
didn't
know.
have bad blood pressure, but the old woman had blood pressure. In every bloody street she went around standing there was a machine gun pointing at her.
Mm.
When she even had to go to hospital to
Well,
work.
I had to go to work, and they said, you know, the day of the work, I had to go to work actually at 3 o'clock that day. And they said to take something white with you. So I had a white scarf, and I had to walk from James Street to the hospital. In every corner I went around, there was a guy laying there with a gun at me. That was frightening.
Yep.
Yeah. And you didn't know whether to look over your shoulder or run or what. No.
She could speak it, well, she could understand Spanish, she could better than I couldn't understand any bloody thing of them. The ones that did speak in Spanish, but I got one fellow one day at the lighthouse when they came down. One fellow turned around and said to some of the rest of them, he said, that fellow talks too bloody much. I understood that in Spanish, though. That was one piece I did understand him saying. But I was very surprised when I went that day, that big tank came down there, thought I had a bloody gang of vargies again. And this bloody great Yankee mercenary stepped out of it, that surprised me, that did. And he came in there, and he pulled a chair up between me and Basil, sat down and put a hand on each one's shoulder. He said, we're not here to harm you, he said, we're here to protect you. I said, well, you can protect your bloody self and get back where you belong. I said, we don't want you. He sat there talking away, I'd drink a tea and that as if nothing happened. And then came back uptown. But there was a bloody gang there that night around the place. They surrounded it. Basil sensed that they were there. I never seen anybody. But Basil reckoned they were around outside all that night. There was a gang around there. To make sure there was only two of us there was nobody else, because they still thought the Marines was there.
Right.
Because when they went to get Moody Brook here, they threw hand grenades netting up there. Thought they caught all the military there, but there was nobody there. They were all gone. They were all down around Government House. And the funny piece about them nights then was the military was out and the Defence Force was out, but one didn't know where the other was. So it wasn't a very well organised, the military wasn't, with our Defence Force, when one didn't know where the other was.
No.
A lot of it.
Well, there was a bit of panic, of course.
Well, you never expect anything like that to happen.
We never
It's bound to
expected
happen.
anything like that
Of
to
course
happen.
not. So,
I think it was lucky there weren't any accidents.
But I know one thing, if the military leaves here now, they'll be in like a shot. I'm sure of it. They'll be back again. And if that happened, it would be tougher
well,
to get out.
yeah, well, we drifting off subject a little bit, but I understood that Guido de Tea had said that they'll never do an invasion anymore. Now, you know, of course, it came out of a mouth who said other things as
You can never
well.
trust them.
No, that they proved it, of course, that they can't be
Yes.
trusted, of course. But
And they've been,
they lost a lot of public worldwide
oh yes.
faith, or how you
Mm.
say, the
And they've
respect. In,
they've done a lot of training, and a lot of the fellows that they had over here is only conscripts anyway.
that was even the worst thing about it all. They sent conscripts.
Some of them was even young kids, 14.
12-year-old.
Some of them had been at the
Yeah.
school here.
It was 12-year-old.
Some of them had even been in our schools in here, going to school,
Yeah, some of them came back, their parents had been here working.
crying their bloody eyes out here when they're dragging their guns up the road. They didn't want
My
to be
father
here
was
to
crying
fight.
because he's 12-year-old, it was his birthday and his mother didn't know who he was. It was a whole class put on a plane, was supposed to go on an exercise.
And the head teacher was their officer.
Really?
Yeah, when they got so far over, he put his suit, put his armoured clothes on and give them all their armoured clothes there. He was their officer.
Okay, fine, I wasn't too sure, I knew there'd been an
Unbelievable.
operation.
Unbelievable.
It was
Okay,
bloody
thank you
amazing,
very much.
that wasn't it?
Fine.
Very, very. No, they were funny. But we used to get the best of half time, in our way. One day we'd speak to someone, the next day we'd ignore them, walk past the same person on the street and wouldn't even look at them. They didn't know what to make of us then. One minute you'd speak to them, the next minute just walk past them and ignore them. I used
Isn't
to
there
get
any
them.
more lighthouse stories you can tell? That's what they want.
Yeah, I know that's what
We're getting there, we're getting there.
Just trying to think of
So
more.
that is also part of it.
Tell me the crew's names of all the keepers that were there when you were there.
The head keeper was Basil Big, and the other one was Red Sylvie. He was,
Were you there with Uncle Fred?
yeah, Uncle Fred was down there with us too now and again, yeah. Because when one used to go off, there used to be always two down there, so when there'd be one left, so they used to get old Fred as a relief keeper then go down with us. But there was always two of us at the light at the one time down there, but one was on duty, the other would be sleeping. We'd go on duty when they got dark, and we'd stay, the person would stay until midnight. Then the next person would take over till daylight came in. That's how we kept it up all summer and winter. One person on, one person off, and changeover was at midnight each night.
Were you allowed to take someone's shift over? Say for instance someone like to had something important to do for a wedding or
I used to get somebody else from
Alright,
Stanley to go down to do that.
I see.
It was compulsory for two people to be there.
So it was compulsory
Sure.
for two to be there at all times.
And then you had dinner together, of course.
Yeah, we
Well,
used to
and
have our
breakfast
meals
and
always
things
together,
and-
yeah. Always had our meals together in the kitchen.
Wasn't the one on day duty was the cook, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One was on the day duty, he was the cook, one was on night duty, was supposed to be sleeping half the time.
Some good cooking? They did good
Oh
cooking?
yeah, it wasn't bad cooking down there. We had an oil stove there,
Mm-hmm.
Paraffin.
paraffin.
But I mean a range oven.
Rayburn,
Rayburn. Yeah.
Rayburn they had done with paraffin.
Right.
Was it
Oh,
a
it was-
Rayburn?
Yeah,
I don't know it was.
yeah, it was Rayburn, yeah. We had another one there for heating, just for heating, that was an oil. That was oil, but I think it was paraffin it used to run on. Something like the ones that you get around now for heating water and that.
Yeah,
Little bit. And they were both in the one room. So you can imagine the heat that used to be in there if he was cooking.
Windows open.
Yeah.
And you had your private room, your private cabin.
Yeah. Yeah, your
That was
private
yours.
room, yeah,
Right.
bedroom. You had your private bedroom. Each one of us had one each. Then when one of us used to leave to come up to the town, well, his stuff came with him, and the next person that went down, he got that room then for that fortnight. We were fortnight on, fortnight off sort of business
Yeah.
down there.
You were saying you had problems with sand down there. What was that
It's
like?
only on the windy days. But you never used to notice it that much. You know, the only time you would notice it if you went outside, walking around, you could tell there was sand blowing about.
We got in the house though. Every
But-
time you swept up, we got sand.
Yeah, you used
The loft was full of
but
sand.
The loft, that's where it came in from, up in the loft always there. Because in the eaves of the roof, it must have used to go in under there. And I suppose over the years it just built up. But I got a notion before I went down there, I think they dug it out one time from the loft. They took a lot of sand, I think, out of there. Because we're just, what, I'm supposed to be like a sort of flat iron, or was it, no, aluminium, I think, sides. An aluminium corrugated roof. And that's where it must have come in under the eaves
Right,
on the
right.
roof then to get in there. Because I know the roof was weatherboarded as well underneath, but in the gaps of the woodwork it must have been where it came in from. Into there. That way.
Now the main light was an oil light.
That was the main one for the that used to turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was paraffin driven. Same as a Tilly lamp. The mantle and all on the top
Yeah.
was the same vaporizer. It's all done the same principle.
Now, what about your quarters? What lighting did you have in there?
Electric light. Because the generator we had outside, see, in another little shed, well, it had 1 3/4. Yeah, 1 3/4 kilowatt generator we had there. And that used to be more or less going all night, see. Was never switched off no time.
Do you remember the make of the engine at all?
Lister. Yeah, little Lister. Lister diesel. 1 3/4 kilowatt job it was there, that one.
We used to pump the water as well, didn't it?
Yeah, we had an electric pump there as well for the pump water, yeah. And
Water was
fuel-
taken down, fresh water was taken down in houses.
If you
On that
notice,
snake place you
when
go
you've
in.
been down there, there's a big concrete slab, and there's two little metal doors, not far apart from one another.
On top.
Well, that's where the water used to go in. I don't think you can get them doors lifted now. I guess seized up that once, but that's where the water was always put in there for us, and then we just used to pump it from there then. The little electric pump, because there was no other way of getting water there.
Yeah.
And the fuel for the generator and the fuel for the lamp, we had to pump by hand. 40-gallon drums. We used to pump it into a big tank, 2 big black tanks. It didn't take too long to empty a bloody drum. 40-gallon drum, it never used to take too long.
But just as you said, you know, since having electricity available there, Fred told us this afternoon that all the paraffin had to be pumped up by hand.
Yeah.
And from there on, and
Yeah.
then also
Oh, yeah.
to pressurize the
tank.
tanks on the
For the
surface.
fuel to go up, that was all done by hand.
Also done by hand.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you had the possibility of electricity. I mean,
Well,
it would have been
we had
difficult.
everything to do with electricity there, but we wasn't. The keeper said no, and that was it.
Right,
We had to
right.
do as he said.
Always done by hand.
So that's the reason also why that lighthouse was kept original for such a long time, of
I
course.
suppose that was it, yes. That was the idea. And every morning when you put the light out, you had to draw the curtains around.
Yeah.
Otherwise the prematures of the thing used to discolour.
Yeah.
That was all fancy, thick glass. Very, very thick stuff. Sort of angled. But when that little one in the middle was the one. Was like a magnifying glass. You'd see a ship away out at sea. You'd up there and look through that for crikey, you'd look about there then.
Oh yeah. All right.
Oh, it really brought it up then, all right.
Yeah.
Really powerful that was. Well, I suppose, see, that's what magnified the light at night time.
Of course. That's
'Cause,
actually the bull eye. Really the
'cause,
center of the.
Out at Port Louis. You ever been at Port Louis?
Sure.
Well, you know that gate down at the bottom of the hill there, below Mike's place, there's a gate right at the bottom of the hill in the valley, before
Right.
you go up to the house,
Yeah.
the stone house.
Right.
Well, some nights at that gate there, you could see that light when it was coming around in the sky. You'd see the loom of it in the sky.
Yeah.
You could see the goose green on a clear night.
Wow.
'Cause I grew up at Goose Green and I
Goose
often
Green,
seen the
you could
light,
see it from there, Walker Creek.
the illumination of
A
it
lot of
coming around.
places you could see the illumination as it was turning. You'd see the illumination of it in the sky.
And Goose Green is, as the bird flies, well, 50 miles from here.
60, yes.
60?
Right,
Yeah.
yes. So it's quite a long way to see it. And if you was out over the sea here, of a clear night, I suppose you'd see it about the same. The illumination of it, I should imagine.
Sure. Yeah.
It's about,
'Cause I
that'd be
think
last night, you know.
that was
it dark,
mainly
clear
what
night, if you know
ships-
what I'm talking.
Went by, I think, here, instead of coming in to see it themselves. They used to see where the illumination of it was from, so
And
take the bearings in, I
indeed,
think.
set the clock and
Yeah. Take the bearings from there
take
as
the
well.
bearings and indeed. Yeah. No, there was no need, of course, to come close. But, that's the reason why you didn't see so many ships, of
I
course.
think so, yes.
Although they saw you.
Oh, yes. But I can remember being there and seeing a few of the little yachts that went past. I think it was a whitbread race was on one time when I was down there. I seen this one with a great big Union Jack in the front room. It looked no good on her eyes and showing up there, you know. I said to Basil about that, I said that'd be one of the yachts. He said just come in to get the bearings.
Yeah.
But there were a few we seen come in around there. And all the Russian trawlers and that used to anchor down there, Port William there, before it was before the fishing started licenses here. They used to come in down there. That's where they all used to have the big factory ships that drop hook there for weeks.
Yeah.
At night time you'd see all these little lights coming in to this big ship. By daylight they'd be gone again. All come in and stock her up and away they'd go again out in the high seas.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have to also to do watch? I mean, watch, so to speak, that you have to look overseas and see what's going on, or keep an eye on things?
No, not
or
really, no.
Just looking at things was just...
We just sort of used to, you know, keep a watch on the light and that, mainly.
That is of course the most important thing.
The light
yeah.
itself. But years ago, I think you used to have to work the ships and all from down there, I think, years ago. With Moscow and that, I think, with the light. If you seen the ship, I think you used to have to. I've heard Basil on about it anyway. I can mind seeing the old moss lamp there, with the trigger and the bulb in them and all that. I can remember seeing that there then, down there. But that had, once radio started, see, well, that all went out there. Because we had an AEL down there when we were there.
What does it mean, AEL?
An AEL. A radio had covered 2 megs and 4.5 frequencies. Them two
The
frequencies.
radio telephone, which
'Cause
they
that
used to leave
was,
to Stanley
the
for all the
government-
islands. You must have heard about it.
That was the government radio frequencies that used to work all around the islands. 4.5 and 2 megs. Well, when the Argies came, that bugger disappeared too. After they knew it was there, they took it away. So we had no communications anywhere then.
Yeah, that was the first thing the Archies did, of course, get a hold of all the radios.
Oh yes, everybody's.
Yeah.
Everybody's radio. Once you knew everybody had a amateur radio or 2 meters, it all had to be handed in.
Right.
Because they were using it themselves. That's what a lot of British troops couldn't understand when they came in. She says all these 2 meters and everything. Because they knew from over that side what it worked like, so they were using it. It was better than the bloody military type stuff they had. But the garden we had down there was only a small one when we were there. Just a little one down that side from the house. From, you know where the light is there now? Just down over the bank a little bit there. But I think it's mainly all washed away, the bank has now.
It's
Where the
completely
garden used to
overgrown
be
with
there.
grass.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's all grown over that sandgrass and that there. I think there might be still a bit of horseradish there yet, I think it may be.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of that where the garden used to be there. We used to have rhubarb and all down there. And that all disappeared. I don't know who took that. Somebody, I suppose, took it away from down there. Well, it's only a little garden, I suppose, about the size of this building, I suppose. It mightn't be quite that big. But it used to do us here, carrots, turnips, and things like that, cabbage plants and that down there. Good soil, nice sandy soil, so it was good for them there. The only thing we didn't have was the water there. We used to have to get that taken down from Stanley.
Oh, so in dry periods you'll to be a bit careful.
No well, see, there was no well there, so we had to be careful when we had the water there.
I'm sure they could have dug for a well though, because further along the beach towards Christina Bay, there's always a wet place
Well,
there.
there's always a wet place, and if you place it down there,
It's a bit of an initiative. I think they could have had some water.
But I think a lot of the problem might have been why nobody really tried down there to get the water like that. There was a salt from a rough day, whichever way the wind was blowing. So you could just come right up over them bloody banks. I remember breakers come in there, they're right up over the top.
Yeah.
Because I think that's why the place rusts so much. There's a salt that come in there, spray from the beach.
Yep.
Comes up over there.
Oh, you can taste it on the glass
Yeah.
of the window top, because if you just take it off, you can see the crystals of your finger. And taste it, you'll taste the sea salt.
Oh yes, definitely we do that, don't we? But I don't know what the pump was we used to use for the pump the diesel out of the paraffin out the drums with. I fancied the handle used to go round and round on them. But I think we had another one there as well, one that you used to just work back and forward.
Yeah.
But I know when we were pumping the diesel, we used to take turnabout and drum about. One would pump one drum and then we'd swap over the other and pump the next drum to fill up these big tanks.
This is a confession. Did it ever happen to you that you forgot to crank up the weight?
Oh yes, I did once or twice.
Once or twice?
Yeah.
Oh, I see, all right.
Forgot that lot right now.
You can tell it now.
Sitting down there, Dixie, look up, bloody light stop, pressing the panic to get away up and turn again.
And you know, beating out like that.
Yeah, he just stay. Once he stops, see, that was it. He just stayed there.
Didn't you get a call from Stanley once to tell you the light had stopped? Or was that Reg?
No, it was Reg.
Oh yeah, well, he was called for Stanley.
That used to be a great thing there years ago.
We used
If
to have
the
a
light did
telephone down
stop.
there at one time.
They used to ring them up and telephone. What's wrong with the light? It's not turning. Somebody had fell asleep.
Yeah, absolutely, that would be the case.
Because every hour, see,
Yeah.
was every hour you had to wind it up.
Used to keep a mirror on the bench in the kitchen, which
Right.
reflected the light, so you only had to look at the mirror to see if the light was working. Little shaving mirror there, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was one on the wall outside too by the door, wasn't there?
Yeah.
That you could sit on the other side of the room and look out through the window. You'd see the mirror on the wall. And it showed you if the light was turning or he stopped. There was a few bloody times I'd be sitting there, look at the light. Oh, he's all right. Go away and do something. Come back and have a bloody look, and you'd see a flame shooting up. You'd have to nip up there in a hurry then, because it used to go sort of get dirt in the vaporizer.
Right.
You know, a tilly lamp will flare up and go in flames, won't it?
Right.
Well, that used to happen down there. Often that used to happen.
And then you had to
And then you had
clean it out and get a new.
Yeah, you used to have to switch them off.
Switch them
And
off.
start them up again there with the lighter fuel, see, to get them there so to clean the bloody mantle, otherwise it was black.
Yeah.
Black with smoke he'd go. That happened to me quite a few times, that did. Because you couldn't always trust it, so you'd think, oh yeah, leave him an hour, he'd be all right. But he wasn't always. He'd often flare up on you like that and go in flames.
Did you have to strip down the vaporizer every day to clean it?
Yeah. That used to have to be stripped every day and cleaned.
And all the brass had to be polished, didn't
Oh
it?
yeah, brass all had to be polished. All the preams of the reflectors all had to be polished every day too.
Was there special jobs for special days or different days?
No, just every day. It had to be done every day. It was a tedious job.
Yeah.
You had to get outside and do it, then you had to go up inside and do it from the inside as well as the outside. But you had to make sure every morning that these curtains was drawn. That was the main thing. If you missed them curtains, by golly, he used to be very pleased then.
Right. But I mean, how should I see it? I mean, for instance, when daylight breaks, you could of course switch off the fuel valve, and then it was a deep, silent rest.
Oh, yes.
I mean, everybody crashed out, and the only thing to do then was to close the curtains and.
Yeah, that's what you had to do then.
Right.
And then you'd go and lay down for a couple of hours, and then you'd wake up, and then you'd have to go up then
And then you started the daily routine of cleaning and
everything
making
then
things
ready
ready.
for the next man then.
Right, right.
Clean everything up by dinner time. Everything had to be cleared up by dinner time for the next one to take over.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
So, because he'd work from dinner time till midnight.
yeah. Right.
And then the next one would take over from midnight until the morning.
What was the routine for lighting up? How did you do that?
Well, if you thought it was dark enough, then you'd light up. It was always done just before it, you know.
Was it a long rigmarole for getting the light going?
No, not really. 'Cause it was done more or less the same as a tilly lamp, see, with a little, like a little torch we used to have here in the meth bottle. And just used to sit them under there. And when he got a certain heat on them, then you'd light them up.
But I noticed on that lens it's got some doors on it. Is that just for cleaning the thing in the morning, or?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't very well open that to change the amount of light that's going around. You have to go up
Oh,
inside,
no.
don't you?
Yeah, they go up inside there, yeah.
There's not a lot of room in there, is there?
No, there's not a very big lot of room. There was a big man there, you couldn't get in. No, there wasn't much room to get up inside there to do that. Wasn't much room inside there. But it was a pity that all that part of it got all broke up though, really, in there. Wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. You have seen it working. I've never seen it actually in its polished state. And it's really, everything was...
Well, I had seen it. I was down there one time when I was only about 15. I was down there with some of the old fellas that was there, old Benson and them. I was down there with them. And I seen it working and that. They showed us how it worked. And then the next time was when I went down there to work.
You had your instructions already.
Yes. And old Basil there was giving us the instructions how to do this, how to do that, sort of thing. But when you knew how you lit a tilly lamp, well, it was more or less the same principle there to light that. It was done the same way.
Now, when the lighthouse was run by Trinity House, does that mean you had a uniform?
No. Just as our clothes is now, we never got a uniform for it. That was the only thing we didn't have down there. We never had a uniform for down there.
That's a pity.
No, we had no uniforms there at all.
And Basil, didn't he have a uniform also? No?
Nope. Just the normal clothes. And normally the stores used to go down every Friday. Peter Short's job as a rule used to be to take the stores down.
Right.
Now you can go up and down there now and don't even get bloody bogged.
No. How long
But Peter Short used to take the stores down there, chance when he'd be bloody bogged on the track.
Right.
I suppose it must have been because everybody going up and down there, see?
Well, of course,
But the
road,
other ground's a lot bloody drier now, I think.
the road to the airfield didn't exist either. I mean, it was all camp driving you had to do.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get there?
Well, it just take us bloody dear bit an hour to get down there.
Right.
Drive down. I can remember driving down that bloody hell. It was soft going. Really soft, wet and sticking. 'Cause now you go up and down there summer and winter and it's not bad at all.
No.
Very good. You know, and on that side as you go down, there's like a hill on this side, and as you're going down on that black track. Guess I've seen people stuck on that black track there, right down, buried, right to the axles.
The axles, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now you can drive around on that anyway, more or less.
Well, it's just that they leveled out a bit of a track now, the PWD.
Well, I suppose that's that track there that's only his last few years that's went there. Just used to be an old, worn out track. I lost my motorbike down there.
You lost it?
Yes. Down at the Lighthouse. I had one of them little, what was it? Oh, a little BSA, what was one, 175 or
Mm-hmm.
no, 100 cc I think it might have been. Little BSA anyway. I had down at the lighthouse there one day. I just took over. That just went walkish. It's never been seen since. I reckon they took the bucket back.
Yeah.
Well, see, they went over in the Argentina. I don't know for now, but we were over there for a holiday one time. And old McLaren is an old ex-Falkland Islander. It used to be here. The highest machine they had over there in a motorbike size was a 175. They weren't allowed any bigger bikes than that. No Argentine was allowed a bigger bike than that. And we were over there, and we were getting around with this whole chap here, NBA and that, and we come across 2 triumph trophies there. Big, flashy 650s with bloody big little radiator on the front of the cylinder head so they were water cooled and all that. Because they were really looking nice ones. I said, oh, that, because I thought you told me there were only little bikes allowed here. Yeah, he said, they're bloody tourists, he said, from another country, he said. He said, they came from somewhere, he said, they're only passing through, he said. So, that's what he told me.
I think we'd better let you have your tea, hadn't we?
But we used to have good evenings down at Lighthouse, me and old Reg. Very, very seldom I slept in the afternoons. I'd go out and bloody walk.
Right, right.
Walk around down there. You couldn't, once you got into the routine, it was all right then.
But I mean, isn't it a certain art of behavior? I mean, sometimes you have, you know, you don't feel yourself so very well, or, you know, you can be a bit itchy or whatever it is. But you have to work together, of course, and
Oh yeah.
you know, the better the relation or
Oh yeah.
the nicer the time is. I mean, it requires a special adjustment of yourself
Oh yes,
to
definitely.
work
Yeah.
together.
Well, normally when me and Reg was down there, I'd say to Reg, oh, well, what are you doing here? Are you doing anything this afternoon? You want to go and have a sleep? We can go and have a sleep. I'd say, oh, I'll go out for a little stroll around here somewhere for a couple of hours. He'd say, oh, there you go then. So,
But I mean, did you learn your colleagues better? I mean, did you tell each other in you know, when you got plenty of time, tell each other life stories or?
oh yeah, we used to sit there and tell stories to one
Right.
another.
Right, right.
Yeah, me and Reg often used to sit down there and that way.
Mhm.
And that.
And for instance, on Christmas Eve or New Year's Day, perhaps you were allowed to have a drink or?
No.
No, also not on
Oh,
Christmas Day.
no.
Oh no.
Jesus, no. Basil caught you with a bloody drink down there. I reckon he'd put you going straight away.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he would, yeah. I never risked it. But when me and Reg was on our own, just the two of us down there, it was all right then. But if we knew Basil was coming, the bloody liquor was never in that place.
No.
It was gone.
Pretty well. Oh,
We had it stowed away.
yeah, very well. In the dunes or whatever.
Yeah, we had one of the sand dunes, so we were stowed away. You wasn't even allowed to have your rifle or nothing down there.
Oh, I see.
Wasn't allowed to shoot a goose down there. Not if Basil was around. Wouldn't allow you to do anything like that. And now it goes down there wildlife sort of thing now.
Perhaps you should have shot Basil.
Oh, many a time I could have bloody rang his neck.
Or pushed him over the balcony.
Yeah. Very, very funny old fucker.
Right, right.
You know, even if your wife come down to visit you, you could tell by the look of him he didn't like it.
No, no.
He wouldn't allow his old woman wanted to go down. She told he wouldn't allow it. Oh no, he wouldn't allow her to go down. She wasn't allowed to go down there when he was there. Why, I'm damned if I know. But yet when me and old Freddie Butler used to go down there, often his old woman and my old woman, they'd come down there for a few days with us. And by Jesus, Basil went down. Oh yeah, you bloody woman's been down here. How the bloody hell he knew, I don't know. He is a growl. Never find a bloody thing of the woman's been down here,
Right,
he'd say. Reg never used to worry. He didn't mind, Reg didn't. Of course, me and Reg was down there, we had the radios down there with us, see. So it was all right with us too down there like that.
Right.
Because when he was on night duty there, he'd be watching the light there and working the radio at the same time. But Jesus, you even switched the bloody radio on when Basil was there. Oh, you had that bloody radio going last night, I could bloody hear it. And nice little thing.
But he must be
If you dropped a bloody pin on the floor, he could tell you.
Right, right. He wasn't really sleeping then.
No, he bloody wasn't, I don't think.
Oh.
I think he was just laying there waiting to get any bloody little thing he could pick up, I think.
Right, right.
But you'd hear him in the room. He was lying in your room next door to him. You could hear him working his bloody glasses here, and he's coming. I used to say to him, what the hell was you doing last night? The bloody noise in your cupboard. Oh, I dropped my bloody toothbrushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Oh, you always had some excuse to get the best of you, you know.
Everybody knew.
And then when they had the cows there, they didn't have the cows there very long after he took over.
No, that was the
No,
end.
he got them chased out of it. He said they reckoned they used to roar all bloody night and keep him awake. He couldn't sleep, he reckoned.
Yeah, I've got nothing to do with lighthouse keeping, I
But
suppose.
the shed that they used to have the calves in must have been well away anyway. I know they used to have one shed was out there about 50 yards out. Well, that wasn't far away, but the other one was away up at this other garden. Must have been a good couple of 100 yards away from the building there. Because where you go through the gate now, it was away up Stanley side of that again. About twice that distance must have been where the cow shed they had down there for them. That old red shed there.
Didn't years ago, didn't whole families live down there?
I think there was whole families used to live down there years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've heard
Because
Basil
Kevin
say-
Clapp's mother, her father was a lighthouse keeper, and I think he lived down there.
Yeah, I think it was
Would have
families.
been there when
that
Sally was born, I'm not
lived
too
down
sure.
there.
Well, the old fundaments are indeed massive. The old buildings.
Yeah.
The fundaments are still on the
Oh, yeah.
side of
Mm,
the.
yeah. That's right,
And
yeah.
they're quite big,
Yeah.
and also quite heavily built. The fundaments
Mhm.
really wide and for stone wall.
Yeah.
For stone
Well,
walls.
the first time
Yeah.
that I was ever at the lighthouse there was old, I think old Fred was there then.
Mm.
Fred Bernstein.
Yeah, well, Sally's father.
Yeah. He
Then
was
it's,
down there.
Kevin Clapp's grandfather.
I think it was him and, good notion, Reg might have been the other one was down
Reg
there.
Lies.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
Reg Lies?
Not Reg Lies,
Geordie.
Geordie.
He was there for
I
years.
think he might have been there with him then. Sure that's who was there. Yeah, I'm quite sure that they had big families right now, had lived down there.
Well, I also know that in the old days, the shift was done by boat, and they
Sorry, it wasn't Kevin Clapp's grandfather. Because it was Jean Clapp, she was a Campbell. It was Sally Bernstein. Oh, she married Jock Tate, didn't she?
That's
Yeah.
right,
Mm.
she married Jock Tate.
Yeah, the wrong family. One of the
Yeah,
girls
what
about
was you
my
saying,
age.
Emma,
I understood that in the old days the shifts were done by boat from
Yes, I
Stanley
think
to the
they,
lighthouse,
yeah. And the stores, I think.
and the
too.
stores as well.
But that must have been a job, because you go down there, doesn't matter how calm a day, there's just quite a big swell in that little place when
Oh,
that
yeah.
boat came in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was only tied there with ropes
Yep.
either side
Yep.
to stop it from bashing up against the sides.
Sure. But still, that little jetty is visible. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's really intact with little steps going down to the
Yeah.
water,
Yes, definitely there is, yes.
and it was actually quicker and more straightforward to go by boat than by horseback or
Would be horse or cart and horse those days. Yeah.
or cart and horse. Yeah.
Yes, would be them days. It used to take about an hour to go down there in a vehicle, didn't it?
Yeah, I used
If you
to.
didn't get bloody bogged.
That was before, but they got the tracks now. Yeah,
Oh yeah, now.
there's so many vehicles around.
Yeah, but also in the old days, the road stopped. Of course, there were Stanley stopped. Of course, at the end of the street, and the rest was all well.
There used to be a road down. You used to have to. Let's see. Where did the road go? It went right down to the bottom of the harbour. Yeah. There was one branched off to Surf Bay, which well, actually Rookery Bay, which is Minefield now. One across from the Market Garden is a branch road. I used to take what they used to call Surf Bay, and then there was another one. Yeah, but the road, if I remember rightly, was further down than where it is now, because when you get down to the bottom of the harbour, you'll see a road going right around the beach on the bank, and comes up and joins this one now. It's here. And then you used to cross over and climb up a sand hill below where all those big sheds is for close, you know, close to the beach there's some packaways built down there, what must belong to the airport or something. And you used to climb up the sand bank there with the rover and go down that one. So you went down further.
Right.
So you climbed up there and then you sort of drove over till you're almost on the north side. Parts of the old track are still there, but you drove around an old peat bank through the edges of ponds and things. Totally different what it is now. There's one piece of the track I've noticed down there where we used to go, they've got a piece of pipe across it to stop people going across.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that was part of the old track we used to go around.
I see. All right.
It was a good chance you'd be bogged there somewhere.
That's the reason why they put a piece of pipe there, because that's a famous place to get bogged, indeed. Seriously bogged.
Yes, I know. Been in it a few times.
Yeah, right. Rescuing your husband.
Oh no, I used to go down there before I had this husband, when I had the last one. And I used to go down. So I used to be married to Peter Short at Falklands Supplies, yeah.
Right.
And we lived in town. I used to had an old rover after I passed my driving test.
He must have been there.
When I used to go down there for a ride, take the kids down, and that's when old Geordie Lies used to give me milk and vegetables. So you go down there when you knew Geordie was on, he'd give you a cup of tea. Nobody else would give you a cup of tea.
No.
You could go down and walk around all day, nobody. But if Geordie was on, he always used to call you and give you a cup of tea. And then he always used to give me milk for the children and some vegetables or lettuce or something, what he had. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't the only one. Anybody went down with children, Geordie would produce milk and things for them.
Very sweet.
Yeah.